everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Oh Shoot. I'm your host, Cassidy Lynne, and happy Monday. As always, it's the best day of the week because I'm here with you guys. And we're in the thick of December right now. It's actually kind of crazy. I feel like the year has flown by. Like I literally feel like we were just making my 2024 goal list, and now here we are reflecting on the year. And it's wild. It's absolutely wild. It is so snowy and magical in Michigan right now. I just want to say, like, for how much I don't love the cold, it is nice to actually have snow around the holidays. I will give Michigan that much. This episode and the next episode, we're doing part 1 and part 2 of the craziest thing you've ever seen while shooting, which is gonna be crazy. I was sorting through these submissions and I was just like, wow, this is nuts. This is seriously so crazy. So buckle in, get ready. And as always, I know you guys love the submission episode. So this is my gift to you this holiday season is a submission crazy story episode. So that's what we have in store this week. It is the holiday season and I feel like I am just on my gift buying spree. It's kind of at the point now where I'm like, okay, I need to lock in and get all my gifts because if I'm getting stuff shipped, it's probably not going to ship in time. It is just a crazy time of year, and I've been trying so hard to keep like all of my gifts and stuff organized in my notes app, which has been so helpful for me. Literally what I do is I like write out all the people I need to get gifts for, and then underneath each person, I write like different ideas for them. And if I have already bought the gift, then I'll go and like put a check mark by them and be like, okay, they're done, which is helpful. And I try to like create a budget for each person as well. Like parents get a certain budget, siblings get another budget. And then the hardest part for me is like wrapping all the gifts. I really love cute wrapping. So it doesn't have to necessarily be like out of this world wrapping, but I just like something a little different. So, yeah, that's a whole other thing is then wrapping all the gifts. So welcome to December. Welcome to the holiday season. This time of year, I always feel so strange. And I'm sure if you've been listening to the podcast for a while, you can relate. It feels so weird to not have shot anything for like months at this point. It feels so weird not having things to edit. And yet my days are completely full. And so I'm like, how is my day full, but I have nothing to shoot or edit? How is this possible? So yeah, it's just crazy times. And so I'm like, what am I doing? This is when I really start to reevaluate things. I'm like, what am I actually doing during the day? Like, what am I accomplishing? What am I doing? So yeah, it feels weird. But anyway, we're going to get into the submissions. Like I said, we have part 1 and part 2 of this episode. I'm trying a new thing with the format of the episodes. So shorter episodes, but just like either part 1 or 2 or whatever. I'm still trying to figure out when I want to release the second part of episodes. So like if I do 2 30-minute episodes, I'm just trying to figure it out. Okay. We're all trying to figure it out. I'm trying to figure it out. So, yeah, stay with me. I think this might be a new setup, which is going to be really, really fun. So, okay, we're going to get right into it. I'm so nervous. I'm nervous. Okay. The craziest thing you've ever seen while shooting. I was shooting a wedding, and ever since wait, what? Oh, okay. Sorry. I'm going to start over. I was shooting a wedding. Oh my gosh. Sorry, guys. Literally story 1. I'm like already stumbling over my words. I was shooting a wedding, and since it was a religious ceremony, I noticed the groom and one of the bridesmaids give each other the look. Interesting. I felt like something was off. Later that night, when people were mostly drunk, it was time for me to go home. So I said bye to the bride, but I could not find the groom. I wondered if maybe he went to the restroom. Wait, what? I wondered if maybe he went to the restroom. So I said, say goodbye for me and say thank you. And I left. As I get close to my car, I start to see a car in the dark that is moving. Guess who was in the car? Yes, it was the groom and the bridesmaid getting real hot. I just went into my car and didn't know how to react. Thankfully, they didn't see me, but what do? Tell the bride? I have no idea. How do you know for sure it was the groom? I guess, were you close enough that you could see? That is crazy. If this were me, I'm not even kidding you, I would go back into the reception, I would sit down at a table and I would wait like 40 minutes to an hour. And then I'd go back to my car because I do not want to be in that scenario. You will not catch me acting as if I didn't see anything. Do you tell the bride? No. Yes. I don't know. Honestly, I'm kind of the level of petty where my brain goes to like telling like a bridesmaid. So like going back in and being like, oh my gosh, like I went out to my car and like, you'll never guess what I saw. So leaving that information in the hands of someone who can do with it what they want, like someone that's probably going to do the right thing with that information, but it doesn't have to be you because you're a vendor. You're never going to see these people again. You don't really need to get involved, but like plant the seed and exit the premises. You know what I mean? I think that's what I would do. Like, I'm not even kidding you, because there comes a point where it feels a little bit like moral obligation. And I just cannot believe like the level of scum you have to be to like marry someone and then that same night, like cheat on them. That blows my mind. Like if you're really like just at least wait a couple days or weeks, like, geez, like that night is crazy. Obviously you shouldn't cheat on someone regardless, but that is just nuts. Oh, wow. Okay, moving on. My couple was absolutely blacked out after their grand entrance. I thought they were just super drunk, but the evening went on and I could tell that something was up. The groom pulled me aside and offered me Molly and Coke, and I was stunned. Absolutely not. Most of their reception and bridal party photos were of them walking, etc. But they looked so decked up, couldn't kiss each other, and were being so sloppy. It was wild. Yeah, that is crazy. It says after their grand entrance too. So like that's like beginning of the reception. That I'm just like, don't you want to remember? Like, don't you want to remember your reception? I don't know. That's crazy. Honestly, I've been noticing a lot of wedding venues having like very specific rules in place to kind of avoid this type of stuff happening. For example, like a venue that locks up the like the rooms that everyone got ready in and like really doesn't have any other space to go besides the reception space, and like one little like cocktail lounge or something, just to like keep things safe and not like to prevent people from wandering and doing things they shouldn't do, basically. I also shot at this venue that had like cameras everywhere, like literally everywhere except the bathrooms. So like, I feel like venues are definitely doing things to prevent this, but as a photographer, like what do you do if your clients are just completely out of it? Like, do they like what do we do? Like, obviously you just keep taking photos, but it's like if they can't even like function, I don't know. Maybe like they won't even remember if you leave early. I don't know. I'm kidding, by the way. I'm joking. Okay, next one. This is the craziest thing you've ever seen while shooting. I had a bride and groom together for about 6 years before they got married. They are very close with each side of their family, all live in the same area. On the day of the wedding, everything was going great and everyone was really excited. Right after the ceremony was done, we started to take family photos. As I'm capturing photos of the bride and her family, I noticed to the side of me that my groom and his mom are talking and their conversation looked to be very serious. I didn't think much of it. I carried on. Once family photos were done, I told the bride that I was going to leave now to go to our second location, and she said yes, that everyone is getting in their cars and that they're going to be there in 10 minutes. I got to the location and waited, and I waited to find out that the groom wasn't showing up to the photos. We had 2.5 hours of time for photos. Oh my gosh. The bride texted me, "So sorry, something came up. We'll be there soon." 2 hours went by. They showed up and the vibes were really, really weird. But I left it alone to find out later that evening the groom had a panic attack because his mother told him after the ceremony, when I saw them talking, that she actually doesn't like his new wife and wants them to get a divorce. 3 years later, they're still together. They have a baby and I see them every year for their family photos. Oh, well, I like how that had a happy ending. I do. I like how that was, if I had to like pick and choose how one of these stories went, I think it would go like that. Because, it feels like it was just a crazy in-law story, not so much like, okay, one person is really having doubts. Although if he had a panic attack, maybe he was having doubts. That is just so, so crazy. 2.5 hours late to taking photos is so nuts. Like, how do you explain that away? Honestly, I don't think you can. Like, I think it's just like something came up and you just don't expand on that. But like, I want to know if you actually got the photos you needed. That's what I want to know. And like, okay, it says that they got some photos, but like, did you get all the shots you needed? Do you feel like the vibes were off the entire time? I would assume yes. That is so, so, so crazy. I just can't imagine like being, let's say like, let's put ourselves in the shoes of like mother of the groom for a second. Can you imagine like telling your kid after they already got married to someone, I don't think you should be married to this person? That feels kind of crazy. And on the wedding day, literally on the wedding day, my thing is, if you have something you want to bring up, if you have beef with either the bride or the groom or whoever, if you have drama, whatever, bring it up. I would say 2 days before the wedding, 3 days before the wedding, no sooner than that. Like, no closer to the wedding than 3 days before, because it's like, at that point, what are you trying to get out of this? You're distracting them so much from their big day. And then like, obviously, like, don't bring that stuff up after the wedding for like at least a week. Like, give them time. Seriously. Like, that is just mind blowing. I cannot even imagine. Okay. The craziest thing you've ever seen while shooting. I witnessed a groomsman get hit by a car in the parking lot while I was shooting a wedding. He was not injured. He was just very shaken up, but definitely the craziest thing I've witnessed on a wedding day. Yeah, that's absolutely crazy. I'm picturing like a guy like standing there and then like, like when someone gets hit by a car in the movies and literally they just like fly over the car and like fly into the air. That is quite literally what I'm picturing. That is so crazy. This is not something that actually happened to me while I was shooting, or even, I didn't even attend this wedding, but one of Charlie's cousins got married and they had someone taking video of the ceremony, and one of the groomsmen locked his knees during the ceremony and fell so hard and fainted to the point where he went like face down and he lost like multiple teeth. And like that video itself, they posted on YouTube and it went viral, like millions and millions of views from this moment from Charlie's cousin's wedding. I just feel like the groomsmen are up to no good. They cannot be trusted. They're going to get hit by cars. They're going to faint. They're going to throw someone at the reception. They're going to do a flip and break their arm. Like, groomsmen cannot be trusted at a wedding. Like, they should each have like a buddy system with like one responsible person looking after each groomsman, because in my experience, like, they're trouble. They see an opportunity to party with their buddies and they're going to take it. They're going to get hit by a car. I really want to know, like, if this groomsman like saw it coming. I don't know. Like, I don't know. It's crazy. Okay. We'll keep going. A couple hired me just for the ceremony of their Catholic wedding. I assumed it was a spontaneous thing that they were doing because they hired me the day before, but there were a lot of people there. I was late by 2 minutes when I entered the chapel, and the bride was already walking down the aisle. I ran to the front, hoping to get a picture, and saw the bride looked super upset. I immediately thought that she was mad at me because I was late, but when she got to the groom, she didn't even look at him. When he wanted to grab her hand, she screamed and she ran away crying. Her family and the groom ran after her, and they came back an hour later. At the end, they did end up getting married. A guest told me that the groom's ex was there, and they thought that was the reason that she was mad at him. It was so sad, but I was relieved that it wasn't about me being late. Not you being like, oh, I'm so late, she's going to be so mad at me. And it's like literally not about you. It's just so funny that, okay, obviously like the situation is not funny. Walking down the aisle, being upset to the point where you're like gonna scream and run away. I'm just like, I just feel like there are some red flags. And as photographers, I do feel like we see a lot of those flags. And I'm just a little bit worried. That's all. Like, I'm worried for these couples. Like, I don't know. And why are we inviting our exes to weddings? That's a really good question that I feel like needs an answer. Why are we intentionally putting the person that we want to marry and that we love in an uncomfortable situation? Like, why is your ex at your wedding? The answer is they shouldn't be. Like, that is just crazy. That is crazy and wild. And it's feeling like a lot of this episode, men are the problem. Now, I'm joking, but I'm also not joking. But I'm also joking. Okay, we've got a short one for this next one. While I was shooting, a gust of wind came and blew my client's dress right as I took a picture. I found out, oh no, this is horrible. I found out while I was editing that she wasn't wearing underwear. I had to go through all of my auto backup systems and delete all the copies of the photos. Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's horrible. Guys, why are we not wearing underwear? Put on underwear if you are getting your photo taken. I'm actually speechless. I totally forgot about this one. Like, okay. And then I feel so mortified for the photographer who just was doing their job, taking photos, and then boom, gust of wind, boom, you saw way too much. And now it's like in your SD card, you cannot get rid of that photo. You have good backup systems because you're a good photographer. And then you're like having to relive the moment, even though you really, really don't want to delete these photos. It's horrible. Absolutely horrible. I am just speechless for you. I feel like it's just two very, very unfortunate scenarios put together. One, the gust of wind, the dress, all of it. Two, not wearing underwear. Like, it's just very, very unfortunate. I'm very sorry to this person that had to experience this. Oh boy. Okay. Next one. Craziest thing that you've seen while shooting. I saw a family fight at a wedding. The bride's sister, who was supposed to be the maid of honor, cheated on her husband with her brother-in-law. She stormed into the ceremony uninvited, taking her kids out of the wedding and yelling/fighting about her situation. Nobody was happy that day. Oh boy. So sounds like this girl, the bride's sister, she just completely interrupted the ceremony, which is crazy. I'll share a story. I shot a wedding a couple years ago where the bride had a brother that they were just like really beefing. And the bride told me, like, even on her questionnaire, she was like, my brother and I are not close because I do not like who my brother married. So her brother's wife is the person that like the bride really didn't like. And she just told me that. She was like, when you get to the wedding, and like when you get there, I will point out who the person is. I don't want a lot of photos of my brother's wife. Don't want a lot of photos of her. Like, we just do not like this person. And like I didn't want them to come to the wedding, but they, like my brother brought her anyway. Okay. So you can imagine when I'm reading this questionnaire, I'm like, oh, this is tea. This is some big tea. So I get to the wedding and of course she points out her brother and then her brother's wife. And it was funny because like when I was talking to the brother's wife, I actually thought that she was like really nice. And like I had no idea that was the person that we were all beefing with. And obviously like the bride's my client. I'm taking my bride's side. Like if we don't mess with this girl, we don't mess with her. Okay. She's not in photos. I will obey your wishes. So all of that to say, when we get around to family photos, I started doing the bride side of the family and her brother was nowhere to be found. And we were like, okay, like this was part of the list. And so she was like, just do the photo anyway without my brother. Well, all of a sudden the brother like comes in with his wife and they're late and we do the photos with the brother and the brother has like the biggest stank face I have ever seen. It was horrible. Okay. And then the brother asked to like add in the wife and the bride was like, no, we're not adding in the wife. And it was just crazy. I was like, this is so nuts. Yeah. I can't imagine like intentionally doing like a stank face in family photos. And guys, like when I say stank face, I really mean like not smiling, like eyebrows lifted, side eye, like just looking as if I had asked the dumbest question ever. That was the face. Literally was horrible. It was so bad. So I've seen my fair share of fights. That is for sure. The only thing worse than taking too many photos while you're shooting is getting home and then having to edit all of them. Here are some ways to speed up your editing workflow without losing any quality in your work. Today, I want to introduce Aftershoot Edits 2.0. You can experience the most consistent edits straight out of Aftershoot. One of my favorite things about Aftershoot is their upgraded white balance and exposure AI models. Even if your lighting varies during your session and you have a lot of drastic changes, Aftershoot's able to instantly fix any blown out highlights, murky shadows, and overall, this feature allows you to have balanced photos no matter what your lighting conditions were. Another way to speed up your editing workflow is by using AI masking in Aftershoot Edits 2.0. This feature allows you to selectively edit your images through masking. With AI masking, Aftershoot can automatically select your subjects and adjust them to really make them pop in your image. Another great way to save time while you're editing is to use Aftershoot's advanced cropping and straightening. This tool allows you to customize and select any aspect ratio, and it even automatically crops in your photos so that the focus is more on your subject. It also can automatically straighten your photo, which is going to save you so much time in the long run. Say goodbye to spending way too much time editing your photos and use Aftershoot Edits 2.0. Aftershoot has an exclusive offer for all Oh Shoot listeners, so go to the link in the description of this episode to find out more. Thank you guys so much for watching, and now back to the show. Oh no. Ugh, I don't even want to say this one. It's so bad. Okay, I'm going to say it. One time, guys, this is horrible. I feel a lot of you are scarred. I'm so sorry because of this trauma. One time I saw strippers at a wedding reception, but it gets worse. The strippers were the groom's daughters. I don't even know if I really have words to form for that one. Like, I know this is a podcast. I do not have the mental capacity to want to address that. I don't. Because, like, first of all, it's just not classy. Where is the class? Where is the class in all of this? Also, like, the groom's daughters, I cannot get myself to believe that someone would be like, oh, my daughter's a stripper. Oh, I'm going to have my daughter perform at the wedding. Like, what? I'm just surprised that someone like this would actually like hire a wedding photographer, to be honest. Like, that's wild. That is so crazy. And, I hope that you have something in your contract about like sexual assault or whatever, because I would say that this would fall into that category. Like, if you're uncomfortable, like, this is a situation seriously where like you're uncomfortable, you can leave if it's in your contract to do so. Like, this is not something you want to be around. Like, this was not agreed upon. Like, I don't know. That is exactly what I would do. I would straight up get out of there. That is so crazy. Okay. We've got a lot more to go. I need to stop commentating so much. The craziest thing that you've seen while shooting. One time a family member had a heart attack at a wedding that I shot this summer, and she casually got up, had someone drive her to the hospital, and then I never got an update on what happened. Yeah, well, that is crazy. Did you see the heart attack? How does one just get up after a heart attack? I'm not super familiar with like how heart attacks work. If it's like something that you can easily get up after, I would assume no. That is so crazy. And just being like, hey, could you drive me to the hospital? I need to go to the hospital because I just had a heart attack. That is so wild. I don't know if I've told the story on the podcast before. I shot a wedding. I feel like I have, but I'll say it anyway. I shot a wedding where there was like this older lady who at the reception fell, I think like just had like a couple drinks, fell over. I think this person was around like 70 or 80, hit their head on the concrete and went fully unconscious, and an ambulance had to be called. This was truly in the middle of nowhere. Like, I'm not even joking you. This was like middle of nowhere in the state. Like, it was crazy. And the bride was so upset. She was like, and she had a good reason to be, obviously she knows this guest. She was like really upset by this. It just like threw, and obviously it's going to put a damper on the mood of the wedding. But like, I just felt bad because it was like, everyone was dancing, having fun. And then this thing happened. And all of a sudden, like, everybody is kind of just standing around talking and no one's actually like enjoying the wedding anymore. Everyone's just kind of like, what happened? Like, is everyone okay? And actually this was the same wedding. And honestly, this is probably the craziest thing I've seen at a wedding. This was the same wedding where like there was a girl who was going around, I am not joking you, flashing people, like lifting up her top and like flashing people. Like, she went to like the photo booth, which was like wide open. Everyone could see the photo booth. Literally flashed the person working at the photo booth. There was like a 14-year-old kid working the photo booth. It was like so crazy. I literally went over to Charlie. I was like, just to warn you, this girl is crazy wild. She's wilding out and you need to watch out. Like, just if you see her, like, be aware. If you start to see any suspicious movement, looking like she's going to pull something up, she's probably going to. Like, it was just wild. And I just remember being like, I just can't imagine acting like this at a wedding. It's so nuts. That's literally giving me stress just even thinking about that whole thing that happened. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Oh boy. A groomsman walked out naked while I was waiting for them to come out for groomsmen portraits. Yay. And then at the same wedding, a few of the groomsmen asked me to come to their bonfire after the wedding. And this really solidifies my statement that groomsmen are up to no good. Walking out naked, like, up to no good. Inviting you to a bonfire after the wedding, mischievous. No. That's crazy. That's wild. And what do you do after that? Like, how do you move forward after you've seen a naked groomsman? Like, how do you still take their photos? I just cannot imagine. That is so bizarre and not okay. And we're getting a lot of this like essay theme here. And this would be a scenario where I'd be like, I'm considering leaving. I'm uncomfortable. I'm considering leaving. Because it does make you wonder, like, was it an accident or did you do it on purpose, buddy? That's what I'd be thinking. Like, what are the chances that you do that? You're supposed to be fully clothed, tying your tie to get ready, and you're naked? Okay. Anyway, we are going to wrap up this episode, but head on over to part 2 to hear more crazy stories from photography adventures, crazy things you've seen. Head on over to part 2, and I will see you there.